Well, good afternoon. I'm here with Dr. Chris Bridges, and we're going to discuss quality focus groups. How are you, Chris?
I'm very well, thank you, Rebecca. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. What are the biggest differences for collecting data between qualitative and quantitative data?
Well, there are two major differences. The first is that with quantitative data, you generally need to collect much more of it than you do with qualitative. Typically, you're looking at maybe 3 digits, but somewhere in the hundreds for quantitative, whereas in some cases, as few as single digits, but maybe around 20, give or take, for qualitative. These numbers do depend exactly on what you're looking at, but as a rule of thumb, you're going to probably need many more for quantitative than qualitative. The second difference is that with quantitative data, you're typically not going into as much detail as well. You're asking questions on the topics you are interested in, of course, but given generally just because you're having to recruit many more respondents, you're typically asking at a more surface level. With the qualitative, you have more time generally to ask deeper, more detailed questions about individuals' responses.
hmm Great. Does it matter where the data is collected from for quantitative virtual focus groups?
It certainly does. The quality of the data is going to have a massive effect on basically the results that come out of the data. The old phrase is garbage in, garbage out. And this completely applies for any kind of research too, including survey research and quantitative virtual focus groups. So where you get your data from is going to affect these things. And a lot of online places are just not very reputable places. Craigslist is a bad one, for instance, and Amazon MTurk is known to be questionable as well. On there, you can get what are known as professional survey responders. These are people who they generally aren't members of the general public. They spend most of their time on there answering surveys and figuring out how to manipulate the surveys in order to basically make the most money off of them. This could be by lying about where they're based. So they may say they're in a different country or county or state compared to where they really are. They may be communicating with other MTurk survey users as well to find out which surveys are going to pay the most, which ones to avoid. So these people are kind of manipulating the system, and you're not going to get the data that you really need.
Right, exactly. Very good answer. Now, why is it important to get scientists to conduct the research? Why can't lawyers do it themselves?
Well, at a very basic level, a lawyer possibly could do it. At a basic level, I want to make that very clear. In the same way that myself as a scientist could, at a basic level, defend myself in court. I can maybe Google some things, learn the basics of what happens during these processes, but I haven't had any training or qualifications to do so. So I'm much more likely going to get a better outcome if I were to get a lawyer who is qualified and an expert in the area to represent me. And this works the exact same, the opposite way. Lawyers who can certainly Google and find out how to run surveys, know the basics of it, might be able to do an okay job of it. But getting experts who have had years of training and qualifications, they're going to know exactly what they're doing. And with the years of experience, are going to be able to answer the questions that lawyers have of their potential jurors much better.
Excellent advice, Chris. That's very good. So, in order to get the most precise results, work with a behavioral scientist. It will be worth it.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.